Your name is Jane.
Yes.
Cool. Did you just get out of work?
Yes, I did.
In the city?
Yep. Yep.
Oh,
I work.
wait, hopefully you don't have to do this every day.
No, just on Tuesdays.
Okay, so once a week, that's not too bad. What type of work do you do?
I'm in pharmaceutical media sales.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I've been in sales my whole life.
Really? Like what?
Mostly tech.
Really?
Worked at LinkedIn, Udemy, TriNet, Fortune Magazine,
Oh, that's so
stuff like
cool. What
that.
did you do
Yeah.
at LinkedIn?
Sold LinkedIn Learning.
Oh, yeah.
You've heard
Yeah.
of it?
Yeah, I think our company uses that.
Oh yeah. Oh, what? Are you allowed to say the name of your company?
I probably wouldn't.
Yeah, I've sold to a lot of pharma companies. So it's just,
Really? Yeah.
yeah, that's like,
That's funny.
because you guys have budget and you guys have high wage earners,
Hmm.
which like anytime it's like a competitive industry, FinServ, management consulting, tech slash pharma, those are like the four best verticals that will invest in L&D, like
Yeah,
training. So it was
that's
always,
awesome.
it was always like my best deals.
And what brings you to doing this
I,
now?
I kind of burnt out because I did 18 years of like just working my ass off. So I was like, all right, let me
Oh,
kind of just. So I started my own business, started doing like a lot of life coaching stuff, published a bunch of books, and kind of like pursuing more of an entrepreneurial path now.
wow.
So yeah,
That's really cool.
yeah, thanks.
Good for you. That's living the dream.
Dude, it's not as glamorous as people make it seem, but it's certainly. I mean, there's pros and cons, right? Corporate allows like freedom, like it allows for a lot of I would say there's like money, stability, good benefits, like, more of a pathway, whereas like I feel like I'm just throwing spaghetti at the wall and just seeing
Hmm.
what sticks.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate the autonomy and like if I want to like I could do stuff like this,
Hmm.
whereas like corporate was like kind of have to stay in your lane and like not be too much out there.
Hmm.
Or if you do, like you have to do it in a certain way that is like PR approved.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I didn't like that.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah. So you're okay, so you're in sales. Are you in management or
No, not right now. I used to be.
you didn't like it?
No, I did. I just left that company. Yeah, I really loved being a sales manager. Um, but no, right now I'm an individual contributor, and yeah, it's really exciting. It's a new company for me. I just started there 3 months ago.
Oh wow. Okay.
Um,
So yeah, so still pretty new, yeah.
yeah, so still kind of getting ramped up and getting started, but it's been good.
Cool. Yeah, I noticed a lot of my sales manager friends have gone back into IC roles.
Mm,
Well, half of it's probably because the market is just
right.
rough right now. The other half is like I just didn't like how I was in pointless meetings and like a lot of the politics and they're like being an intentional IC was actually like allowed me to have better work-life balance. So some of my friends got back into that game.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. I don't know. I really loved it, so I was pretty sad that
Oh
I
yeah.
can't do it
Oh,
anymore.
so it wasn't by choice.
No, it wasn't my choice.
Yeah, it's rough out there right now.
It is, yeah. The company I was working for, they like restructured, and
Uh,
so yeah, I was
yeah.
laid off in January.
I feel like restructuring is like a nice way of saying like it's like hey, we're just laying off different departments and like
Yeah,
redundancies and whatnot.
yeah. So that's okay. It took me 2.5 months to find this role, and
That's not bad.
it
Sometimes
really,
I feel like some
yeah.
people are still on the hunt. It's been like
I
six
know.
months.
So this is crazy. My husband was laid off 6 days after I was.
Ugh, timing. Sorry.
Yeah.
Is he okay now or?
He just accepted a new offer.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
but he was trying to kind of start his own business for the first, I would say, 5 months.
Oh,
So he wasn't looking for a while, but he saw me go through all of that, and you could tell he just didn't get it. And then when he
yeah.
decided, okay, my business idea isn't really playing out like I thought it would
Uh,
be, so I'm gonna start looking. And
okay.
yeah, so once he started looking, he's like, oh, I get it.
Yeah, it's rough.
It
I think
is.
this is the roughest. So I graduated in 2011 from Rutgers. I think this is like the hardest it's ever been.
Yeah.
It seems like
Yeah, I think so for sure. Especially in
wild.
our industries where I think we're already seeing AI kind of come
Mm,
in and make things more efficient, so
yeah,
you can do more with fewer people. And
true.
um,
Yeah. I
but
mean, corporate is so bloated sometimes though. Like, I don't know.
yeah, we
This.
really weren't like where now my husband's situation. They kind of were a little
Oh,
bit so
okay.
that they merged, like two companies merged, and so they would have had
Oh,
duplicative roles. So that
yeah.
kind of makes more sense. But the company I worked for, they were just trying to cost cut like crazy because they
Uh,
were, they made some promises to shareholders and that wasn't
uh,
looking great. So they were kind of panicking.
yeah. It's Yeah, that's like working for publicly traded companies, and there's just so much like I didn't like it.
No, it's tough.
It's like it just feels very transactional sometimes. Like I mean, there's pros and cons, right? Like I was lucky, like LinkedIn was actually cared about their employees, but at the end of the day, I was a cog in the like. Let's be
Mm-hmm.
real, you know what I mean?
Right.
As many awards as you can give me and presidents clubs and all this stuff, it's like at the end of the day, there's 1,000 other people that would be dying to get the role that I'm in.
Yeah.
So they don't care. They're just like, all right, like if you're not producing, like you're out. Like
Yeah.
we don't care if you've been here for 15 years, you know?
And even if you are, I mean, they just like you said, they can get rid of you
Yeah,
and
there's no
then
loyalty
hire
really
somebody else
for
for
like,
$50,000 a year less than
yeah,
what they were paying you because people need to take the job. So
right. Yeah, that I did notice a lot of my friends who are about to like the 5 years to retirement stage, they're all struggling
really,
because they're all like, dude, no one's gonna pay an old dude like, like an enterprise AE in tech sales, like most companies I've worked at, is like 300 OTE, right?
what?
Yeah. So
Wow.
like it's like, hey, we can hire you, pay you 150 base, 300 OTE, or we could get someone like 32 years old, pay them 100 base, and like they could perform probably just as well as you.
Mm,
So they're
wow.
yeah, so like that was like the game that a lot of these tech fast series B, C, D companies were doing for a while. But then now they realize like, oh, okay, like a lot of these younger people are like, Jesus Christ, was like job hopping a
Oh,
lot.
he's not. Why is he mad at you?
Yeah, he's the
He's
last minute turn. Like, oh my God,
wow.
crazy. But yeah, so that's I don't know. But I mean, I see both perspectives. Like, cause some of the I'm not gonna lie, there were some old sales reps that like didn't even know how to like use a CRM, and I'm just like, really? Like, it's
Yeah.
2022, 2021. Like, how do you not know how to use Salesforce? Like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
I mean, but a college grad wouldn't know either.
True.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, the older, more established sellers, they probably have like a lot of contacts.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
And like the business acumen as well,
mhm.
right? Like as someone who just watched like from the outside as a SDR, booking them all the meetings, like I was like, ah, like I could do this. But there's so nuanced. Like once I got into it, I was like, oh, okay, like I was very wrong. Like there's so much to this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did you say as an SDR?
I
You
was
did.
oh yeah, do you guys have that SDRs as well?
Um, I managed an SDR team at my
Ah,
last
so
company.
you do, yeah, because some industries don't have it as much, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like so that's what I do now. I'm a SDR coach.
Oh,
So I help
really?
SDRs get promoted to AE.
Nice.
Like so I teach them the politics, the internal brand stuff, the networking to the like building using LinkedIn, and then how to like position yourself and how to answer the imposter syndrome or how to like
Mhm.
combat imposter syndrome
Yeah.
essentially. So that's like my courses, the stuff that I do on YouTube and stuff like that too.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I loved managing SDRs. It was so fun.
Yeah, because they're at like a younger, so like they're more moldable, right? Ideally.
A lot of the people I managed actually were, it was such a range. We'd have some people that had like a year of work experience and then others that were changing careers. Um, and had been in the workplace for like 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
Some people that had been in the industry for a long time and they were just kind of,
Mm.
looking for something different.
Yeah, that's true. You do get some of. I've noticed that's like, it's okay to be like an SDR as a career path, whereas like, I don't know, some people they might be like, well, don't you want to like, have higher ambitions, right?
Yeah. Well, it's a good way to get into different companies.
True. Yeah.
Mind doing the work.
Yeah, it's a grind,
Yeah.
but in some ways less stressful than being like an AE, right?
I guess it just depends on what your goals are and how like attainable they are. Because if you're an SDR and you have goals that don't feel attainable, then that would probably be worse than an AE where your goals.
Yeah, yeah, and the quotas, it depends on the quotas too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Hey, oh, so we have Mr. B. He lives in India.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
How
So,
can you read that at that?
uh, uh, oh yeah. Well, it's harder. I'm sure for you it's harder, cause like, yeah, but I'm a little bit closer. Yeah. Um, yeah, it's interesting. I feel like SDRs, like it seems like there's a lot of cuts. Like a lot of companies are cutting the SDR role, so they're expecting the AEs to, but it like kind of doesn't make sense, right? It's like, let's say you're paying the AE 125 base, like, like, and you're expecting them to do everything. Like, wouldn't it be a better use? I mean, I get it. Like, I think every AE should learn how to hunt, but it shouldn't be like 90% of your job, or
Yeah.
unless you're working at a startup. But yeah, so I don't know. It's interesting. I feel like the SDR role has been there's been so many layoffs, like SDR layoffs. It seems like it feels like.
Yeah, they really have.
Yeah.
I feel like SDRs are so underrated and underappreciated. I'm super biased.
Yeah, totally. I agree. I mean, I agree. Like they never they almost most companies don't have a progression track to AE, right? It's more of just like if you get lucky, you get an AE that you're paired up with who actually has the bandwidth, who actually wants to like coach you, mentor you, or like you have to like somehow apply to another competitor and then position your experience and try to work there. But most companies, like at least all the companies I've worked at, even at like well-established companies like LinkedIn, there was like not really like a true SDR to AE path. Usually, like most companies, when I was at Experian, it's like, yeah, like you'll never get promoted to AE. Like, there's no way you're gonna be able to jump from booking meetings to be able to close like $12 million deals. Like, like that's gonna be very difficult. So
I don't know. I think that's lazy management. You can teach. Also, I think it depends on what the responsibilities of the SDR, what they are, because if you're
yeah,
just appointment setting, you need
right.
a lot more development than if you are maybe running your own demos and closing for the next meeting, or
Yeah,
you have additional responsibilities that gets you closer to
yeah. I guess it
closing
depends on the
appointments.
organization. I think, but I don't think that's common though. Like I haven't worked at
Really?
a lot of companies where SDRs are doing that. I mean, that maybe like 15 to 20% that are like taking the initiative do that. Like they'll get promoted, but there's not like a, hey, this is the playbook. It's more of
Yeah.
just like, hey, you have to take initiative, which I get, but it's like sometimes like they just feel like they're like, oh, I guess I'll just be an SDR for like 8 years.
Yikes.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe it's more established at a lot of the companies that you've
I
worked at.
don't know. I mean, the last company I worked for was the only one that I ever worked for that had SDRs, but
Oh, okay.
it was that was kind of like my first tech role.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were qualifying leads by doing demos.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's how it should be.
Yeah,
That's
because
great.
I mean, if you're setting up meetings and the meetings are junk, like it's not
Yeah.
very valuable.
Well, it depends on the incentives, right? Like, there's so many companies that like incentivize, like, hey, just book a meeting, and it's like kind of like, and then all the SDRs kind of like, let's game the system, right?
Yeah.
So it's like it's weird, but it is hard though, because I do think like whatever system it is, like every whether it's an AE or SDR, everyone's gonna try to like play to the game, right?
Yeah.
So it's weird.
Yeah. That's kind of what makes them good salespeople too.
Yeah,
'cause I
really.
feel like good salespeople are always trying to figure it out.
Oh, her
How-
name is Jane. Yeah, he asked for your name.
Oh,
It's Jane. Yeah, it's yeah, that's true, right? Because like if it's like, hey, multi-year contracts, you're gonna get paid out a lot more than like, hey, it's like I'm definitely gonna play for that.
yeah. Yeah. Or even if it's based on like qualified opportunities, if it meets
Yeah,
like certain criteria. But
yeah. The best SDR comp plan that I enjoyed was I got a piece of the when the AE closed it as well.
nice.
So that was great, right? Because that obviously that incentivizes me to go way and above and beyond than just being like a meeting booker.
Yeah.
So like I would like follow up and like I would do a lot of that, like yeah, like multi-threading and like all this other stuff as well. So
Were you paid on like recurring revenue or just that initial?
no, just initial as an SDR.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, at least most tech companies are like super like, hey, like we draw the line in the sand, which actually I don't necessarily think is the best either because as soon as you like, it's like, okay, I don't care about this deal anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Which sometimes there's a lot of knowledge share that gets lost because it's like, hey, I'm not incentivized to like help you beyond. So like I'm incentivized to like just move on as quickly as possible and get as many opportunities to you as possible. But I feel like that's like a missing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I'm grateful. Like I feel like I've had like a lot of good AEs that I've been paired with that like have really taught me a lot. But I just see everyone else like some of my SDR friends are still SDRs like 15 years later, or they transition to CSM or like
Yeah.
something else. But honestly, a lot of my SDR friends like have never made it to AE. I would say more than half of them.
Wow.
Yeah, it's wild, right?
Especially right now, it's not a good time to try.
Oh yeah,
and make
yeah.
that switch.
Dude, there's like a
Unfortunately.
lot of SDR managers. Like some of my SDR managers friends, like many of them are AEs now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
just very competitive.
Yeah. I mean, so yeah, I was an SDR manager, and then with this role, it's like a higher level. So like I'm a director now, but I'm an individual contributor. So it's like it's a better job, not a people manager anymore.
Yeah,
But hey, I'll take it. It's really I got very very lucky.
yeah. It's. I mean, with anything, there's ups and downs. I'm sure eventually things will kind of go back to like when it was good, right? But it's who knows how long that's gonna take.
Yeah,
So it sounds like you would go back to management. When,
I would. Yeah, definitely.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's interesting. I feel like a lot of folks, some of my friends have tried the entrepreneurial thing as well. They're like, all right, well, okay, why not? But then a lot of people are like, okay, never mind. Like, let me get back into stability.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, it takes a while to ramp up to the revenue
yeah,
amount that you're looking for. That's why my husband, I
yeah.
don't want to say gave up, but he was looking for it to replace his
Oh yeah,
entire salary. And
that's
he
not
was,
gonna happen anytime
no,
soon.
he was making like I don't know 130, and he was trying to create this startup,
Yeah,
and within 8 months, being projected to make that much, and I was like, no one
yeah.
can do that.
It's just expectations, right?
Yeah, so he was impatient. It's okay.
Yeah,
It makes him happy.
yeah. It's tough, and then that's what everyone always says. Like they're always like, yeah, you just keep banging your head against the wall. And then one of my friends, he's a serial entrepreneur. I think he had like 15 businesses, and then like eventually he had one that like stuck,
Wow.
and then like now he's doing well. But
What was the one that stuck?
he does outsource bookkeeping. Yeah, so he does like book.
Accounting?
Yeah, accounting. Yeah, so
Is he an accountant? I'm assuming licensed.
he's like, yeah, he does like, you know how like a lot of companies outsource to like Philippines, like overseas.
No, I didn't know that. Like
Yeah.
for accounting services?
Yeah,
Oh,
because
I
it's like
didn't know that.
cheaper. So a lot of like these huge, um, like mid-size accounting firms, like they just outsource. They just keep gobbling up, like acquiring like these smaller, like mom and pop accounting shops, and then they just acquire them, take their book of business, and then they have a system and they like automate it, and then they just like outsource it to like these lower income, like India and like Colombia and like Trinidad and Tobago, like a lot of these like and then they do a lot of the work. And then to your point, and then yes, there's like some element of automation using AI slash using technology that also is eliminating some of these like more manual data entry stuff that's like more of just like people on Excel all the time.
Yeah.
So it's like a combination of both.
Well, I never even knew that was a thing.
Yeah, there's like a whole I mean, it's a very lucrative business. Oh yeah, you're in so you know how like a lot of pharmaceutical companies have their factories if they're in India and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that, where like most pharmaceutical companies, like 90% of it is like done like India now. I feel like a lot of it because it's like so much cheaper, and then they just hire like Indians in the U.S. that like will communicate and will like manage the contractors in India.
Yeah.
That's like such a. I feel like I see that everywhere. All the big companies, BMS, Johnson Johnson, artists. Yeah, it's wild. Hey, brother. Yeah, probably not gonna play any music until afterwards, after I drop her off. So he's recommending some like Indian songs. Because earlier, like I was doing a lot of faster drives, like in Princeton. So in between, when I was like picking someone up, I would just play a lot of the songs that he's recommending.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it's like all these songs I've never heard of before. I don't understand anything that they're saying, but it's catchy. It's like but like Punjabi music and like funny skits and like all these like it's crazy because some of these videos on YouTube will have like 200 million views, and I'm like, what the freak?
Wow.
But it's because India is so big, right? So it's like they can get 213 million views on like this one video that I'm like, what? Like,
Wow.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard any.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure it's like mostly like I'm probably viral over there, but probably not as popular. Remember like that Gangnam Style song?
Yes.
It was kind of like that. You know, like
Yeah.
Gangnam Style like blew up,
Yep.
got like a billion views or something like that. He was showing me some of those types of videos where it's just like funny, like, but it's like I don't get it, you know, because I'm not like
Right.
I don't get the pop culture stuff, but
Yeah.
it's catchy, some of it.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I know that's past. Do you want me to end it or?
Yeah.
Okay.